Yeah.
that we went on.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
So, describing how many loads roughly you're dealing with, and
A lot.
what you're really capable of doing, could be interesting.
For sure.
You find out real quick why a lot of people don't go on a backpack moose hunt.
But it was feasible, right? It was like it
really was.
like a solo elk hunt.
Yeah.
You think, roughly, an overall load per person.
I mean,
4 trips a person.
yeah, it's definitely a lot more than an elk hunt, but yeah, solo. Is it?
Kind of similar to a solo elk hunt. As
far as each
long
guy
as you
takes
have
a
multiple
load.
guys to help.
Yeah, I missed the first load. It was
First 2 loads.
Yeah, the first 2.
far away.
The first 2 loads.
I think he
I
just
did?
wanted.
No,
I think he wanted to stay up there to
No, we did
look
one.
for moose.
I thought you guys hauled one down. It got taken. But you guys did haul it to the middle.
Yeah,
And then the
Oh,
second one we all went, but then you guys had to go get the other.
No,
because
we
I was
did
on the bear.
2 before you showed up.
Oh, so there was 4 bags down there.
Yeah, we did do, like I said, yeah, we did
There's
do
4 bags down there at the beach.
Oh.
Takes a lot to move a moose.
Because we did 1 load. We didn't cut anything.
Yeah.
The second load, we breezed down there really quick and came back.
Yeah.
Third load, you were there.
Yeah.
And then because we did 2 loads that day. The first day we ate meat in the teepee after we broke it down. The next day we remember we ferried it halfway.
Yeah, from the kill site to the first meadow,
The first meadow.
and then we did from that meadow down quite a ways to the other meadow,
And then
and then from there was just then we did the one long haul.
all the way down.
All the way down.
And cut the way. Then came back. So then we still had 2 more loads when you showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we only went down there. I think we only went to the beach once before Ryan showed up. But
Yeah,
we did.
once because
But we did the leapfrogging.
But the
2 bags.
leapfrogging, we did the entire load.
yeah, you
about
brought it to that tree.
another. I don't know how far
middle.
that was. About a mile.
Sounds terrible.
It was. Wasn't as bad as.
It's like walking on a sponge too.
Yeah, and of course that's when it rains too.
Yeah.
I thought it would be worse. Actually.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't think it was that big a deal. Did you?
I mean, as the title of the film, it's just work. Kind of fits, you know. It really does.
And it's the fun work. I honestly would rather do that than sit at my desk.
I missed most of it. I was way up on the hill, and then I gardened the meat.
Yeah.
Last go around.
Breaking it down, getting it down there. I don't know. I thought it was cool. I thought it was quite doable.
And I actually enjoyed the process when we ran out of food,
Yeah, I didn't
Like,
mind.
that was
kind of
cool.
an adventure.
especially when we said we were going to stay there until we killed. And like we didn't have any food. We were just going to eat berries and eventually kill them. It was great.
We were right in his pocket. I'm like, I don't care if we didn't get that on film, but I'm like, we're not leaving, Brady. Like if we were starved to death, we're staying here until
trying
this
to kill us
bull goes
both.
down.
because they're not rutting. Like we need to stay there. And like that was like literally an enjoyable moment sitting in camp, rendering down that moose
Was that
fat.
not the most delicious meal
Dude,
in?
I've had really good steaks, and you know, I was like, oh, maybe it's because you're just in the backcountry.
Yeah.
But that fat alone is like just eating
The fat on that
the
thing
best thing ever.
was some of the best tasting fat I've ever had. Just you could drink it.
The moose fat?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first stone sheep hunt I went on when I got to the first base camp, there was a moose hunter in there like maybe a week or 2 before, and they were cooking in moose fat. It was awesome.
It was
So good.
This thing had fat like along the whole rump. Like we were cutting
awesome.
cubes of it to render and just saving it in bags. And
Turns out vegetarians can get fat.
yeah, the fat was what hit, not the meat.
Could have been your start of carnivore.
Yeah, it could have
right
been.
then and there.
Well, and I wasn't convinced either, and I probably wasn't good at burning fat at that point. As the diarrhea did commence the next day, I just ate too much fat.
We ate way too much, but it was so good. We hadn't eaten anything till the night before that. So all day when we were trying to kill my bull, Once we killed it, processing it, we hadn't eaten anything.
There was no time. We had to like race to break it down and get it away from the kill site.
Yeah.
And as it was, our last load came out. It was after dark. Still was sketchy.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And then I had to go find that camp spot in the dark, and then it's raining, and we gotta get a fire
And
started.
we were soaking wet and freezing cold.
Remember how much gear we hung up in that shelter that night? We had,
So you're still sticking with it was doable, though.
I am sticking with it was doable. Oh yeah.
and it's always worth it. It really
Yes.
is always worth it.
It,
In the end, pain goes away pretty quick.
it made me reconsider.
The half mile or the
Remember
500-yard
when
rule.
Sexy Beast was up that draw? In hindsight, I'm like,
That was a
I wouldn't
tangle
hesitate to kill him there next time.
Yeah.
Really?
But do you remember the second half of that draw? Like
I do.
when we lost
Are we
him?
recording?
Oh yeah.
Well, there's things that I'm not going to say right now, David.
That was intense. The second half of that draw was brutal.
It was. But what about when he went around to the other side of the lake?
When I saw him
When
go
you saw
around
him.
to the other side of the lake, that Brady still doesn't believe me.
Yeah, I still don't believe him this day. We were watching the film, and I was like, "You didn't see that thing."
No,
we
I'm
had no
talking-
proof.
I absolutely
no
did.
proof.
No, I'm up.
Hey, how do you have proof when you're glassing?
It's like
That's a good question.
all the biggest buck stories I've ever heard say, "Oh yeah, I saw a 200 inch."
You know what that comes down to in that moment,
Trust me,
Lampers?
I
You just said it. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Because there's no proof in glassing. What it comes down to is people show their true colors and trust of the
Where's
group.
the trust?
I do have
Brady?
trust issues.
Where's
I have
the
some friends
trust?
who I
That's
don't
what
have
it comes
proof.
down
So
Do you
it's-
think I wanted to walk that far? All the way to the
Yeah.
end of that valley?
I do because I
Man, no way.
Okay. Back up. That's not what I was talking about. I was talking about when we got on or Tines. We got
Oh,
to the
yeah.
bluff.
Oh, that side.
And you saw him the next day.
Mm.
All that day, would you killed him there in hindsight?
So yeah, we were trying to figure out like where we could maybe get him out of there without having to go all the way to our other spot. So
so yes, you're looking at it.
That's another-
instead of going after Big Sexy, go after Tines.
Go after
on opening
Tines?
day, opening morning. That's
No.
what we're trying to decide right now.
No, I'm saying Big Sexy came all the way over to where
Never-
Tines was.
yeah.
Oh, that one. That's
You wouldn't
multiple days
lay
later, yeah.
right by that pond.
Yeah.
that
No,
next
the day that we were killing and
We were
doing all the
killing.
work,
I was up on top,
he was just sitting back, reclining,
Eating
watching Big Sexy or Sexy Beast.
guarding you guys from bears mostly.
And
You were the Overwatch for
I
bears.
was the over.
anyway, you watched that bear all day, or that you watched that moose all day.
Sexy beast.
Yep. And if you had killed him there, would it have been 6 miles?
I was 6 miles, yeah.
So twice as far as yours.
And there was a lot of alder.
And we
Yes.
had 7 days, 8 days left of hunting.
We would have been doing that the entire
We'd have
trip.
been doing it the whole time and it would have been worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes or no?
probably.
He's cool.
In hindsight,
The
yeah,
answer.
absolutely, it would have been worth it. For
That's what
folks
I'm
that,
saying.
For
Like,
folks that don't know the second half of our moose hunt, yeah, it absolutely would have been worth it.
and I mean, you and I mostly packed yours out by ourselves.
Yeah,
so
so we're strong men.
7, 8 days
I had to go
to pack
back
out Sexy Beast.
to get the carbs for you guys.
True.
To
Yeah.
come fill
And
your
that was
bellies.
you're going through sketchy bear country to do that as well.
Yeah.
And have to navigate all over
Don't get me wrong. I mean, it was a glorious moment when you came waltzing into camp with a wood stove,
food.
with
power.
and food,
Hey, but,
and electricity.
But remember, I told him to bring my solar panel, and he left my solar panel. So
Brought
I
it.
ended up running out of power towards the end.
Oh,
Because I let him borrow the
the
solar
guy
panel
who
on top.
kills is now giving you shit about leaving the solar panel.
I let him borrow my solar panel on top because that was a nice side of it.
It was.
But
It
what
was
do you
very
what
nice.
do you think though about the hindsight of
Hey, Cody, will you set that clock? so I
should
can
have
see
went
where we're
after
at?
a different bull on opening day because of what we did not know what was going to happen,
Back to the
especially knowing he got
Oh,
screwed
I mean,
by a
no,
bear.
I think we played it. I'd probably play it again the same way, just because
I
we
think you'd have
watched
to.
that beast 4 days in a row.
Let-
He was
let's-
in the exact same spot.
Let's get into this now that we're now that you guys are doing the hunt recap. Let's
No,
get
we're
into
not.
this.
It's still kind of cold opening.
I don't know, man. We're getting into some
getting
details
deep
here. I don't know. So we have Brian Call and Ryan Lampers on today that did a DIY backpack moose hunt with Brady, our very own Brady Miller, which was when?
This past fall.
August,
August. Was there bugs?
September,
It was September.
September.
Yeah.
Was there bugs or did it freeze off yet?
Wasn't bad. No.
The White
better
Sox.
No, we didn't have too many. It wasn't like no skeeters.
We had
Few white
thermocells that
sox.
didn't do anything.
But they weren't
Thermos house.
It could have been worse. Put it that way, Lorenzo. Could have been way worse.
Because
we
that's
lucked
the
out.
word is when you hunt them early like that, it gets pretty gnarly.
Yeah, no, it wasn't bad at all.
Not for
We've
skeeters.
lucked out.
There is this scene at the end where we're packing Brady's moose out, and he's got the horns, the antlers strapped to his back vertically, and we're just beating our way through the Alaskan bush. And you and I have head nets on because it was pouring rain, and the White Sox were still getting us, even with the nets on and
Really?
the rain.
That's pretty bad.
So
Yeah, that was a small moment though in the hunt. It seemed
It
like.
was.
We were there 10 days,
yeah,
11, 12 days.
for sure. But when they come out, because the temperature is just right and they hatch and they're there and you're in a pocket, they can be miserable.
yeah,
for sure.
That's the word.
But
Yeah.
we were up where it was windy, a lot. So you gotta be ready for it.
Well, I got to see this film through the premiere
Yeah.
at Western Hunting Expo. And it was pretty damn good. And that's not even the real cut, supposedly.
No, I kind of rushed that edit together because we
I thought it was really good.
I
we
thought
had
it was awesome.
invited to just do a movie night, and we had just a few weeks to get it done, and so I expedited it. I was working on it in Mexico.
You had to drop a lot of it that you probably normally would keep in there, but that was more time restraint, wasn't it?
Yeah.
like you had to drop this thing to an hour and 10 minutes.
So there's going to be more to it when you release
There'll be more
than
to
what
it, and I
saw.
think there are elements that are great. Like the key parts matter, or they're golden, but the other parts there's some lagging or slow. There are parts I want to make better before
Yeah.
because we're gonna basically take this movie to 5 different cities across the West. Probably might go to the East Coast, maybe
That'd be cool.
Pennsylvania area. We haven't decided yet, but
I'm going to Pennsylvania tomorrow.
Are you?
Yeah.
Want to take the film?
They got a lot of
would be
hunters
it.
up there.
Yeah, they do.
They do have a shitload of
Be a
hunters.
great place
Yeah.
to show it. Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to show it up there. But you got to see it. What did you think about the hunt itself?
I thought it was awesome. I genuinely thought, and especially to hear that was like a rough cut or a first cut,
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome.
Good.
I don't necessarily have the moose bug, but moose just aren't on my radar in general. But it was exciting. Like it definitely made me want to be there. You know what I mean? But it's just hard for me to take an August or a September with where my mind's at right now for moose. But I thought it was awesome. I thought it was super dynamic. And then just the fact that you guys are DIY backpacking a moose is like pretty wild in itself.
You know, a lot of guys will do a similar hunt where they land on a river or they land on a lake somewhere or they motor up with a jet boat, however they start their hunt. But most of them are waiting for that moose to be within a certain distance of a body of water in which, a transport vehicle can come and get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hear a lot of numbers like 500 yards or a half mile, right?
Yeah, the
a
half
lot of
mile
guys are
thing.
saying a half mile. Don't shoot it beyond a half mile of a river or, your strip, your airstrip, or wherever you're taking that moose out of.
Yeah.
With good reason. They're
They're no joke.
on a weight.
But the challenge, the question that we had going into this hunt was, can a backpack moose hunt be done? And if so, what would it be like? And killing one miles from that pickup point was sort of the gamble we were undertaking, and we really wanted to figure out how feasible is this? Because you don't hear about it.
Yeah, that's what I found fascinating about the film is you don't hear about it. Like I'm around in the industry and all, you just don't hear about DIY backpack moose hunts.
I think Alaskans are like, that's stupid. Why would you do that? Because they have tags they can
Yeah,
get
they have
readily.
so much access to
They have
everything else.
access, and why? But for someone like us, we're not residents. To be able to go up there on a do-it-yourself adventure and go someplace remote, and then open your harvest success rate up dramatically by being able to be willing to backpack to a spot to get an animal and to pack it out. I'll be honest, when Brady got his bull and I saw it on the ground. It looks like a Clydesdale with
longer legs.
8-foot piece of board like on its head, and you're like, okay, we're kind of hosed. We're a long way from where that meat can be and that bull can be transported. So that's when how do you eat an elephant? They say,
one bite at a time.
Yeah.
And so we started.
We could throw out some numbers. So I think you did the math on our distance from our base camp.
Yep.
To your bull. It's like 6.5 miles.
Yep, 6.5 miles.
Yep.
So it's decision time.
It was decision time. Do we take it that way?
And that's going to be longer too. That's just tracing it. On GOHUNT Maps. So I guarantee you, it's longer when you start going back and forth and get clogged by alders and all that stuff and willows everywhere. So
it was brutal.
That's just traced miles.
Getting back to our camp. Or do we pick the other route and take it to another place that we can get it out of, another body of water or whatever, which was, what was it, 2 miles?
Yeah.
2.7 miles.
2.5, yeah. We chose the latter.
It was 2.7 miles walking from where you killed the bull to the pickup point.
Was that decision as simple as it sounds?
No.
Like 2.7 compared to 6.
It was the opposite way of camp too. So you got to figure that.
So you lengthened camp, but it was a shorter pack.
And in a sense too, both of them are unknowns. Normally I would always take the known, but where we dropped off to come down to kill my bull, you ain't taking a bull up that.
Lorenzo, we got the maps out. No joke, Brady and I. And we sat down with the maps and, as we're that night, because the first priority of business was break down the bull and get as much of the meat and the hide, everything away from the carcass as possible, because this place was crawling with grizzlies.
Yeah.
We did that, and we dropped that meat
in the film.
Yes. Yeah. And we dropped that meat in the center of the biggest meadow around, so that 360 we could see if it had been tampered with. We're not going to get surprised by some bear in a bush. And then we made it to our tent, dark, ate moose meat that night because it's all we had. That night we're going through the maps and looking at the satellite imagery. There's meadows everywhere. In the film where you're looking down and it's just like meadows. And Ryan's like, I think there should be a bull moose in
every single one of those. Yeah.
Every other one.
Every other one. That's right.
Every meadow would be ridiculous.
So you can see how those meadows are fairly easy walking. Some of them they're swampy and everything, but generally that's your open. But then there's unavoidable brush lines. And you could use the satellite imagery, which we did the whole time, to say, are these alder thickets? Are these willow thickets? Like, how dense are these patches? And then it became, Brady came up with a path, and I came up with a path. My path was better, and that's the one we decided to go with.
It is true.
But what we did was we just played connect the dots. And you're like, okay, well, we're going to have to cut through this brush line. It's going to be brutal. But once we're through it, it's a long straight path, and then you just have this skinny brush line and then another giant meadow, and we just connected meadows.
Best we could to avoid the thick stuff. And then the thick stuff we went into, use the maps to figure out, if it's going to be really thick or moderately thick.
How are you guys deciding if it was alder or willow?
Yeah, so the shading on that's the nice thing about the GOHUNT maps is the satellite imagery part is so good that the entire time we were up there, you're just zooming in and out of these, because you're inevitably traveling through brush. No matter where you go, you've got brush. But we're looking for the lightest green, and we're avoiding the darkest green. The dark green was bad.
That's smart, honestly.
And that's how we wove our way through all these different places, was we always picked the lighter green.
You can even see it in like some of that thickly timbered areas too. You could say, okay, it's a different color underneath it. It's probably going to be thicker, or it's not. That's going to mean, some blueberries or whatever.
And timber, like when we found, good spruce trees, generally it was a little more open underneath,
Generally.
In fact,
sometimes not, but
sometimes works.
That's what Brady did, is we were like, well, as we got lower and we were closer to the low lake where we needed to get this moose for a pickup, you could see timber lines that were really thick. Well, that's pretty good in that country, because if there's a timber line, there's no alders and willows that you have to beat through. Instead, you're under a canopy, and there might be some deadfall or something, but it's pretty navigable compared to everything else. And so Brady and I would, if we had a alder thicket to beat through to connect two meadows or a timber patch, we went timber.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it ended up being way easier than I thought. So back to Sexy Beast.
Yeah, I was going to get on this because I saw the film, so I understand what you guys are talking.
Yeah.
But you guys went in 2 days early? 2 days early? 3 days early?
5 days early.
5 days early.
5
Holy
days
shit.
early.
But you didn't see it in the film. That got cut out.
I think it felt like 2 or 3 days to me as a viewer. That's what I thought it was. You guys found some bulls.
Oh, yeah.
Like some good bulls.
Yeah. It was
Sexy
real
Beast was
promising.
one of them.
Preseason.
You had Sexy Beast, you had Tines,
Yep.
and Wide Bull.
We had some
Timber.
other bulls we didn't
Timber
showcase
bull,
on there.
timber
Yeah,
bull.
they're really far away. And we had quite a
Some
few
we didn't
bulls.
get names on. But, I mean, that's why I wondered with Sexy Beast twice the distance, but a lot of meadows because he's just beyond where Tines was.
Yeah.
And it did seem like, okay, let's say it was twice the distance we had to pack your bull. It took us 2 days to pack your bull down to the pickup point. All right, so we twice the distance, it's 4 days.
4 days, yeah.
And it wasn't physically demanding. Like, that's one thing. Because remember, it's 2.7 miles loaded down to the drop off, and then 2.7
Unloaded.
empty. You know, and it wasn't that big a deal. Am I wrong?
It's a lot of weight.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
But I think it's more
mean,
mentally taxing because you are going through there. Then you're trying to drop a track the whole time and trying to hit that track again so you can get that exact same spot so you don't get, back to the nasty.
I mean,
Let me tell you where I'm
are
at.
the muscle hamster with the heavy squats.
Let me tell you where I'm at on this. When the moose got picked up, I was wet and cold because it just happened to just dump on us most of that time. And we got wet trying to load the moose up for pickup. The whole rest of the day, we didn't hike that far. It was the hardest day for me because I was cold. Like cold will get me way more than the physical work will. Way more. And
muscle
that whole
hamster.
day sucked. That whole day was the worst day by far, and I didn't pack anything.
I don't like the cold either.
I hate the cold.
You and I get along. Our short legs, which you were heavily made fun of for by Brady, the longest legs on planet
Well,
Earth.
you try to take the
In the
longest
film.
legs on Earth, and then you try to throw a 60+ inch wide bull on, but now it's stacked vertically because obviously it's not going to work horizontally, and it catches on everything.
How did that feel,
yeah.
by the way?
It,
You got to admit it felt cool.
it felt really cool. I saw the video, some of the slow mo shots of walking through. Amazing.
I will say the most the most perspective in that entire film is seeing that bull vertically on Brady's
On
back.
his
Is
back,
like,
with how tall he
holy
is.
Yeah,
shit.
for how tall it is.
It is wild looking.
Now we weighed that at the end, right?
Yep.
When we were wrapping up all the meat and everything. Do you remember the weight? on that?
72 pounds.
72.
72 or
Just
73.
That, just that.
Just a head.
72 aqua
Holy
pounds.
shit.
And that's not hide. That's antlers and skull. And so that thing's sitting there vertically, and it's like a constant ab workout the entire time, going back and forth. But that's where it was nice to have initial ascent backpack compared to the backpack I was using.
It was so stiff.
Like I literally could not have packed it with the backpack I was using because it was so stiff.
Yeah.
And I was able to hold the moose on there, but able to strap it up because otherwise, like I said, if it was wobbling back and forth, it was just horrible.
By the way, on that backpack, it's pretty interesting because it's one of those packs where I can put my spotter, my rifle, I can misload the weight so it's all heavily on one side, and it still distributes across my whole body fairly well
On that frame.
on that frame. It just,
It's a stiffer frame.
Yeah, I saw it for the
carries
first time at
weight
Western Hunting
really
Expo.
well.
It's pretty cool.
for
Like,
heavy,
Yeah,
it's pretty darn
cool.
nice. But yeah, I mean, Sexy Beast, I still, he's
So
in my head. Like,
here's why I balk on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I think, 2.7 miles, it was doable because you guys did pick a really good route.
We had photos too to
Yeah.
look at it all, and
Agreed.
satellite imagery. So we had double the security in our minds that we could probably do it.
Yeah, there were some good meadows between that and that within that 2.7 miles. But I think it was more than twice that to where Sexy Beast was when I was laying eyes on him. So maybe 6 miles total. That's a whole different animal than
I think so. I think as you
2.7.
double it, it's actually like exponentially way worse than
It's
what
kind
you
of
think
like
it's gonna be.
compounding work,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
2 miles to 4 miles isn't double; it's double plus.
And wasn't there less
the-
meadows too
the
up that
beatdown.
way? Like it'd be more.
There was some brush lines that I was trying to figure
Yeah.
out how would we get it out, and you're just going to have to bust through it.
That's kind of the fun aspect of this hunt, though, is it's not that we couldn't have killed Sexy Beast, this bull. We could have killed him. But we self-imposed not doing it because of the logistics, the feasibility of packing it out. And so that's the challenge, right? At what point is it feasible? That's sort of what we're trying to figure out. And it felt like yours, anything down in that area where you killed, anywhere down there, it's doable.
Yeah, you could figure it out.
I would be willing to say if you were to ask every resident Alaskan, or most folks who have hauled a moose out, would you pack a bull out 6 miles? Because that's what it would have taken on that one. In that country, most of Alaska, I don't think we're going to get a whole lot of folks saying, "Oh yeah."
You don't think you're going to get them to say 500 yards.
That too. I know.
Yeah, even
Take
the
the toughest,
2.7.
Take the toughest, most badass moose hunters you got up there, though, that are strong and fit. I don't think they're going to say yes to 6 miles either.
I don't think they're going to say yes to the 2.7.
Because that's the thing too that I felt really bad about, because I'm thinking like, oh, it's 2.7, and now I'm taking time away from you guys hunting as well. So the longer it takes to pack this bull out, the shorter amount of time another person can hunt. Yeah, you can kind of hunt maybe at the same time, but you're not going to be able to carry a rifle when you're.
I appreciate that sentiment.
I think that's just a part of moose hunting. You
just could be
like
get into.
we're
It's a team
learning.
sport.
It's like
is.
You're probably not going to fill all tags, especially if you have 2 or 3 tags. A lot of your time is going to be dedicated to moving that one moose around and
It's a
getting it
team
out.
sport. That's what it felt like too in the film. Is it was all team sport on the hunt, which is really cool. I loved that dynamic of it. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and how about that shot? I don't want to give too much away, but
So,
dude,
so I'm having breakfast in the hotel at Western Hunt Expo. It was me, Chris, and Omar, and Lamper's family sat next to us. Him and his wife and his 2 daughters. And he goes, "You coming tonight?" I said, "Yeah." I can't remember exactly the conversation about. Yeah, we're going tonight. And he goes, "Get ready. Brady looks really good in this film." And I'm like, "Oh, here we go. Here we go." And now I see
think
why.
For those that don't love Brady to death already, they're really going to fall in love with him after this one.
You are not wrong. He looks real good.
I had some
The
people.
shot was incredible.
I had some people come up too, and they apparently they know you fairly well, and they were complimentary of the film. They said, "Well done, capturing the witty, funny, laid back side of Brady that a lot of people don't ever see."
Sometimes I hide that.
Guy's pretty funny.
He's funny.
Guy's really funny.
He can talk some smack.
I've noticed when smack is being talked, especially from Brian, that's when Brady turns on.
Yeah,
brings
if
it.
Ryan says it's like, okay, we're just talking to each other like we're brothers. But
Ryan
he
and
was
Porter.
like, ooh, you're
I'm
my
an
like
instigator.
stepbrother. I gotta like,
You're good with Porter and Brian.
yeah,
That's where you're
those two.
Yeah, I felt like all said and done, though, I want to redo big time. I feel like we made some big mistakes. In hindsight's 2020. And
Well, are you going to call them mistakes, or is it just hunting? Because,
True.
that bull, for folks that haven't seen the film, this will all kind of come to light when you see it. But, the very first bull we went after, he easily could have been there that morning. He had been there 4 days in a row.
yeah.
I mean, we only missed him by a matter of hours, and he just walked out of our world.
Yeah,
What about rather than leaving him that night, because you were on him, you saw him that night before dark.
Yeah.
What if you were camped in the teepee that night?
But we were on him first thing
First
in the morning.
light. We were on him.
We were
No, we were
on
where
that
he
mountain.
was, but not on him.
Remember, we scurried over there in the dark, and we basically were glassing right where I had glassed him the night before.
So when did he move?
I think that night in the dark.
he was slowly starting to drift.
He was drifting. When I last saw him, he was a good mile at least down valley. Possibly he just kept going, but he had been going back and forth when we were seeing him.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So we kind of assumed he was going to just settle right back to where we had first seen him, which was right next to us. But he didn't. I think he just kept moving that direction.
I'm coming from like a super first grade perspective on moose behavior. I don't know anything about them. Do they move a lot? Like when you guys were up there, were they moving a ton?
There's a fine line. Like I feel like there's a day where they just decide to start walking and they just start going looking for cows. Kind of like the
so it's
a lot of elk
like kind of pre-staged.
Yep, they'll start staging in places. Where
That's why I was really worried about Brady's bull, because we had seen bulls hang out for 5 or 6 days in one spot and then just one day just go. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, you knew that Brady's bull was on the verge of maybe just completely leaving the country.
Yeah, that is stressful.
Yeah. And then Tynes again, he was a bull that we watched for 4. He'd been there for 4 days, and he'd only moved a couple hundred yards.
Barely.
If that.
No. Yeah.
You have to admit,
he could have been there.
If we had gone for Tynes, he'd have died that morning.
He would have died that morning because
we picked the wrong bull.
We did.
That's hunting. That's just hunting.
Yeah, it's just hunting.
But you can't really do that different. If you go up again, you'll be in a similar situation and 50-50 gamble.
But if we had more than one cameraman,
we would have killed him.
Good choice.
We had one guy on that guy, one guy on that guy.
Yep, that was.
We could have maybe killed both.
Are you giving me shit that we didn't send a camera guy with Brady?
I think that's what he's saying. Come on. We've been down that road.
Okay. I felt that one and got it.
No, I think we've talked about that.
Though.
And Tynes was just a matter of being in Alaska with a lot of bears,
Right.
That's all that was. We picked him back up. We were all confident. Oh, he's killable. He's in the perfect spot where he's been staging for 4 days. And while we're watching that and we're game planning to go make the stock, bears come through. Mm-hmm. Pushed him out and never came back.
Yeah. That shows through in the film. There's a lot of bears.
When we were in the, of course, in town, in the airports, cruising, we'd run into a lot of other hunters around, and we'd get their stories. And what was really interesting was they would have completely different experiences. They would be like, oh, yeah, the moose came into calls, or the moose did this, or they just like cruised all the way across, and then we saw him come back the next day and the next day, and you're like, we weren't seeing that. Mm-mm. So I think it's pocketed, right? Like,
yeah,
elevation, terrain.
Like what makes that bull decide to move? I mean, as everything needs there was wasn't there a few cows off in that one little drainage nearby? Like we had vicinity.
Cows. Then the rookie moose hunters that we are, we feel like these bulls are just going to stick, because we have cows that we know of that are fairly close.
Yeah,
but that one didn't. There's cows in that drainage, and I don't even know how many miles he walked that next day.
I think there's an important topic we should get out, and that is never rely on Ryan Lampers when you're packing for a hunt.
Oh, we're going to get into this?
You're going to go with that? Oh, man.
You're going to go into that?
Actually,
so I can defend myself.
I'm sorry. Let's back that up. What piece of gear, Brady, did you regret leaving the most?
A cot and a chair.
Those 2 pieces.
The 2 probably most essential for comfort. When
Brian, would you agree that only an idiot would leave his cotton chair?
Brady, is it true that you knew these things? It's a moose hunt.
Let me pull up my text right now. We're doing this.
And
I'm going to pull it up.
And there's an airplane involved dropping us off somewhere. Yes or no?
Lampers, did you have a cot and chair?
I did.
Brian, did you have a cot and a chair?
Yes.
So
Brady's the only one.
So here's the thing, though, where we'll get into all the time. It's like I am the worst. This is not obviously like a front country hunt or anything like that, but I am the worst when it comes to being able to pack extra things. Like, yeah, there was a weight limit and all that. I definitely could have done more. But I still pack minimal all the time.
That's true.
His food,
it's so foreign to me to realize I can have some nice things on the hunt. I can have a little whatever.
Brady doesn't even know what nice things are here at his house in Las Vegas.
So everything was Spartan with Brady.
Yeah. So I did fail to confirm, even though I knew the camping conditions. I thought it was more of a teepee we're going to use, but there we go. And then I went to fit anyway, though, in the shelter we had. I'm too tall.
When you're 7 feet.
Yeah. I was too tall for it.
Brady is too tall for any cot that we know of.
Yes.
At this point.
But I really did have a comfortable spot on the ground because it was wet, and I'm just getting used to the conditions of being wet the whole time. So I'm literally just getting
One with the condition.
one with the conditions every single day. And it was at a slight angle, so it was kind of like I was laying on my couch in my house, which I sleep on my couch a lot because I just fall asleep in random
Like
places.
every night, not a lot.
Wasn't
Every
a big
night.
part of your discomfort, though, didn't it have to do with the faulty air mattress that you brought?
Oh wow, I forgot about that one. Yes.
which is not the
It was
first
a-
time. So I mocked him when he went on the hunt with Pedro and
And
I,
this is the same pad, by the way.
because he had those Uber Light.
Yeah, you are Uber Light.
That's the dumbest pad on earth. If you want to freeze to death, bring it. If you want it to pop seams, bring that one.
Yeah.
So Brady's pad, it would explode.
The baffles inside.
The baffles.
Yeah.
would
Every
pop.
time he moved.
Yeah.
You start
At
hearing
least
some
two a night maybe, and it would sound like a little mini explosion. And so his pad just started turning into a beach ball on one end, but stayed flat on the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the idiot that also brought an Uber Light on an elk hunt in September, and I had the exact same thing happen. The baffles broke on me, and I had a beach ball for a pillow. Actually ended up to be fairly nice.
I have some video.
And then the bottom.
Do you have video? Because I literally forgot to take pictures of that pad.
Yeah, I will not
I-
I will not be using that.
And 'cause
pad.
I think the problem is that I've had that for so long. I took that on our bear hunt years ago when you guys made fun of me the whole time for it. So maybe you did actually sabotage mine after Pedro and I kind of fake sabotaged yours.
Dude,
This is the way
those
to get back
baffles
in.
were growing by the night. And then Brady, for being so tall, what's shocking is how much he can curl into the fetal position.
I love
Yeah.
the fetal
Grab
position when I'm
a
sleeping.
piece of the bottom of that pad.
He's a pro sleeper.
He is.
He's a pro sleeper.
And his sleeping bag was, for some reason, it just collected a lot of moisture.
A lot of moisture
In the foot block.
No, just
Everywhere.
the whole bag.
everywhere.
And it would,
No matter what kind of layers I had at night sleeping, it would still just
Really?
condensate
It's soaked
over.
through
Yeah.
from the inside.
Probably
So his
because
bag-
I
because we
was
didn't
sleeping on the
bring
ground when these guys are sleeping on the couch.
we didn't bring a wood stove on that spike out after the
Yeah.
moose, which we kind of regretted later.
Yeah.
Because one day grew into 2 days to 3 days to 4 days away from the main camp, and every day Brady's sleeping bag would get wetter and wetter,
Ooh.
just till it was like not retrievable. And when you're talking 30 degrees
Yeah, that's a problem.
and extreme moisture, you're not going to dry it out. There's just no way. Not without fire, in a stove.
Yeah.
And we had multiple back at the other camp too. We could have easily got them stove.
And I mean, some of those sleeping bags, when they get old,
It was an old bag.
they just stop
Yeah,
handling
for sure.
moisture.
Treatments.
Yeah, that was the worst
starting
though.
to
It's like
wear off
again,
and all that.
it's probably one of those hunts where I could have brought a backup. I could have
Yeah,
brought a backup
yeah.
of something else a little
We-
more comfortable.
we did bring
Something-
one.
Anything other than an Uber.
Or Uber Light. So if it says Uber and it says
Yes,
Light,
there was a plane involved here, Lorenzo.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you know
on
not
a
to
bad
touch
one.
that one.
Brady's food bags look the same on that trip as they do when he's going in
They
for
were
10 days.
they were exactly the same
Identical.
as a normal backpack one.
Very, very minimal.
Way too cold. So yeah, that was an interesting. It was fun to watch you suffer.
Yeah, I could probably go through that list on my phone. It's probably a list that says bring extras next time I go on a hunt like this and stop being so minimalist.
Lorenzo.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Look at your dad.
See, I wish
want
I
that
had
picture?
You
I
got
can
to
send
send
it
me
to
that
you.
before you leave. Yeah.
That'll be our marketing for the Uber Light.
That's the thing. They always start out as kind of a nice built-in pillow.
That's
but then
what
they
mine did.
work their way down to your back.
Yeah.
Mine,
become
mine
unmanageable.
luckily, it happened later on in the hunt. It just became a
Was
nice
that
pillow.
actually yellow?
Yeah.
I just like how his mouth is
Oh, yeah.
open and he's like,
Yeah. I think that might have been my X Light.
mouth breather?
My
man.
Uber Light just failed before that too. So I've had a lot of.
yeah.
So what I've
issues
noticed, I noticed this when I moved to Montana, is seams pop when they get too cold. So when we have like bouts of minus 20, 25 degree weather, and if you leave those pads out in your garage or gear room outside, they fail. That glue just separates.
It's done.
And that's when the separation happens and it's toast.
It's probably because I haven't fixed my air conditioning or my heat in my house for 2 years in Vegas. And so my upstairs in the summer, I live by myself. I'm a
120
single guy.
What-
It gets really hot in my gear area still because I'm trying to save money and just sweat it out in the summer instead of fixing my AC.
I'm
At
also-
that point, Brady
it's the
doesn't
glue.
even know nice things here in Vegas,
Yeah.
let alone moose camp.
Yeah, I would say he was envious of our sleeping bags.
It was. It really was.
What were we using again?
Oh yeah,
Mine was
that new peaks.
Yeah.
Brady did borrow it once.
Yeah, that was so
Sat
nice.
there.
I do like how the arms come out. That's like
It's handy, huh?
that's a nice little deal.
Same with the hood, because then you can it's like a second jacket almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really jealous.
I was loving it on that mountain, glassing out into those meadows that day. It was nice.
That was pretty cool, that scene. You
Yeah,
sitting in your
it is-
sleeping bag with your arms
Oh,
out.
it was great, especially when there's that cold wind coming off the top there. Yeah, it was perfect for that.
You did run into a lot of grizzly bears, and they are a problem. And Ryan had a pretty close encounter.
Yeah. I just, I'm just up there protecting camp
He's by
while you
himself.
guys are off killing moose.
That's not in the film. What happened?
Oh, I just had a big old angry boar that Brady actually glassed
saw
him
it.
up.
I glassed it up. Yeah, I glassed up coming to him. And I freaked out. I was like, oh, that's going right to Ryan.
Yeah.
Literally
And
goes
he
right to him.
He just came right up the ridge, and he just wasn't one of them bears that was quick to walk away. So I had to get above him and get my scent line above him and wave my arms and shoot some shots up in the air and all that kind of thing. And it took a bit.
Wow.
Yeah. To get him to
Kind of belligerent.
to move. Yeah. Not one of those bears that just cooperated.
He played that. He pretended not to see you kind of game.
Yeah.
Which
Sat down.
isn't
That
good.
is not good.
Oh, he sat down. He was like 60 yards from me. He's doing the yawn. He's just kind of looking around as he's sitting like a dog. And, I'm jumping
I'm
up
safe.
and down and, making noise. And
That's not
he
a
had
good
that look about him. And that wasn't good. So,
And you were by yourself at that time?
yeah, these guys are down having fun killing moose. So, yeah, I had to get him away from camp. And, I was top of the mountain wide open. But yeah, no, bears everywhere. Everywhere.
No matter what elevation, too.
It
If you're
didn't
down
matter.
low, they're there. They're up high,
There
they're
were
there.
sows with cubs up top, and we saw them down on the bottoms, and boars just
We
cruising.
saw that group
through
of
everywhere.
4 together.
Yeah, that one day.
All adult, like all grown?
They were all big.
Yeah, they weren't cubs.
They weren't cubs.
Yeah,
Wild. Now, Sexy Beast, there were a lot of wolves going off. The couple, 2 days before.
we had wolves right behind camp, which was not
Did you guys
too
ever see
far
'em?
from where
Ever glass 'em or
Beast
anything?
was.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think we could. I mean,
It was too
so
thick.
Yeah. But you could hear them going off.
That could have been why he started drifting a little
Could
bit.
have been, yeah, for sure. They were there. Not 2 nights before we heard them howling, so could have had something to do with it. I think it was just very unlucky that he wasn't there on the opener because he had been there for 4 days.
Let me ask you this. Which is bigger, Sexy Beast or Brady's bull?
They're two totally different
Just
shaped
difference.
bulls.
Brady's was, yours is real wide, but Beast had really wide paddles with really cool scoops.
That's what I
His
noticed.
brows were just really
Yeah.
unique. So
And he actually had some sway in his paddle.
Taco.
It looked like
Yeah.
too. Yeah, it
A lot
looked
of
like his
character to
Paddle,
Taco's a good way to put it.
paddle had a
Yeah.
fold to it.
yeah,
someone's hungry.
5 brows on each tine, and they swooped out, or at each
Yeah.
brow tine, and
So I think his paddles
really
were
neat.
wider because of the scoop. I don't know if he was as wide, but then he had a big scoop.
I have a
as
chance
well.
to look at the video, over and over. I'm to the point where I'm bored of it. I've seen it so much when I'm editing. But when you look at Sexy Beast and you look at Brady's bull and you see them at a distance, the distance between the paddles on Brady's bull is stupid.
Yeah, it's
you look at it and the head is in the center, and then it's just they're so far out, the 2 paddles shining. And Sexy Beast is much more inline, but when you look at his shoulders, the neck, I think his body was bigger. I think he just had that. He just is he's huge.
He was like me as a moose instead of Brady as a moose.
Exactly.
Hey now,
I thought Brady's moose
I
was
weighed 194 this morning.
You're much taller and thinner.
I felt good at
but
194.
that's a good answer, though. What Ryan gave is they're just different. They're both amazing.
And imagine though, Beast with his paddles, instead of turning in, which a lot of moose do, they turn in, so they're real deceiving. If they would have just flared out like some bulls do, totally different look.
And that's what I say all the time about mule deer too. You get those
Yeah.
tight boxy ones. What if you just splayed it out a little bit?
Yeah.
You'd be you get that extra look.
Everything
Very
is so
unique.
different with antlers.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
That's what makes them so cool.
Did you guys love the hunt? Did all 3 of you guys love the hunt? Like you do it again?
oh
Yeah.
oh yeah.
I'd give
We
up
are
to September
planning,
every single year for that.
planning.
You got to admit,
can't
when you
wait
killed
to
your
get back
first,
up.
when you killed your first bull, it was over. Well, I think when you walked up on Chris's bull, Brian was a moose hunter for the
Lorenzo, you said at the beginning of this that you don't have the bug, and I didn't either at all. It was like moose hunting is one of those things that I felt like I wanted to check that box at some point in my life. Like, this is something I'd love to do at some point. And then, when we walked up on Chris's bull, the bull that I kind of passed on, and I realized
was this?
This was 2 years ago.
Got it.
I saw that thing on the ground and packed that one out. And then I was able to take my bull on that same trip. I was addicted, man. I couldn't imagine not going up there now.
Really?
Chasing these monsters. They're just so cool.
What is it?
And you know, the meat is one thing. Like, the meat is, I don't know how you beat moose meat, honestly. It's that good. And just the amount of it. But just the mass on those antlers and the width and the overall, I mean, like you said, 70 pounds of antler there. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy hauling those things around, how they do it.
So the size for you, the size of the...
It's like killing a dinosaur.
They're just so impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, when Brady walks over and he puts his hands on it, and when that's yours, like, you've taken it legally, tagged it, shot it, it's yours, and you put your hands on those antlers. I just think you become a moose hunter after that. You
become a moose hunter, and then just Alaska. You know, I had skipped a lot of years. I used to go up there all the time, and I spent a lot of years guiding for fishing up there, and then 20 some odd years of a gap, and then we went back up there. And this last year that we went with Brady, this is more of the country I used to guide in. You know, that kind of terrain, and I kind of fell in love with it all over again. It's like you got really good fishing, you got wild country, tons of bears, and these giant beasts roaming with massive antlers on their heads.
I also thought that moose hunting was easy. In some ways, I thought, they're not that smart. They're slow. You just walk over, shoot them.
That ain't the case.
They're not like that.
They're challenged.
They're way more challenging than you would think.
Really?
And their hearing is next level. Like,
so the first year we went up, we were doing some calling. We were there during the rut. And I remember Brian pitched a call out there at one point, and we had a bull that we pulled up on maps. He's literally 3 miles.
And just
out
voice
there.
call, like you did on the film, just a voice call.
And those big satellite dishes stop, and they just turn, and they focus right on where we were, 3 miles away.
Oh,
I mean,
shit.
so far, right? And they pinpoint you with those big old dishes on their head. It's incredible. It's so cool.
That's pretty
so
cool.
if you're going to tiptoe around, like some people might watch this film and you see Brady's on that bull initially, and he's just kind of a ghost in the timber. He's giant. You can see his body and his paddles sort of moving around, and Brady's lined up. And it would have been great if we could have got another angle, if we could have found another, if we had just been, there's nowhere to go. There's a wall of brush. And if we did try, that moose would go boop from, he could hear you in a heartbeat. He'd be gone. So it's not as easy as you would think, just in terms of the spot and stock part of it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, the terrain, it does not look easy by any stretch of the imagination, just terrain wise. But the animal itself, if you
think it's going to take an hour to get somewhere, it's going to take 3. That's always been my mentality in the Northwest. If it's going to take an hour, it's going to take 3, and that country proves it.
And
that's something I remember in my scouting before we did this trip, because this was a new area. I remember, you look at these drainages on maps, and you're just kind of trying to get a feel for this country. Like, it doesn't look all that far. Is this too small of an area for us to be in? So we look for an area that's got much, larger space. It's always way bigger when you get there, always way bigger. And it takes forever to get anywhere up there. Like, just one small drainage. You look right across it, you feel like you could get right over there. And it might take you all day to get right over there.
It's interesting, too, because we've made jokes about how moose don't do really anything fast. And when I was calling for that moose keyed in on us, but he wasn't going to come to us. The rut wasn't there yet, but he was definitely keyed in.
Yeah.
And he's looking through that brush. And that scene where Brady's lined up, I had to cut 17 or 18 minutes off of that. It's already long. But it took him that long to decide what to do. Well, do I go? Do I? But I heard something over there. And you see him just kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it shows if you cut that much off, that's wild because it is long in that moment.
I tried to leave it long in a way so that people would see.
Could feel it.
Could feel it. But it's just so long that you would get annoyed as a viewer. So I was going to show the lapse of time. There's different ways to do it. But in the end, I decided, just pace it. You get the idea. It took a while. But it was way longer than that. And there's one part that you don't see where Brady, I was watching Brady and I didn't think he was ready to shoot just yet, settled in. And that moose had turned to go. And I went, and that moose stopped, turned around, and then sat another 10 minutes. I'm like, damn it. Like, I really, just that one more call set the clock over for a long time. Mm-hmm. And then the hope was, again, that he turned the correct direction, because if he turned into those trees,
there was nothing. There's nothing to shoot on that side. He had to go that way, and it worked out for a reason. And
dude, I thought, is he going to pull the trigger? Because he took that step. He's like, sending. I'm like, okay, just send it. And man, I mean, you see it too. I've rewinded it many times. That bullet just drops underneath the branches, just right under the branches,
and right into
the. Yep,
that was about as picture perfect of a shot.
I mean, it drops just the vapor trail. It looks like it's 1 inch below that.
And you can actually see the bullet enter the bowl, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's actually, I mean, when I was watching it, when he shot, I was like, dead bull. I mean, I immediately thought, oh, he did it. But that bull didn't drop. This is a 300 rum.
300 rum, yeah.
And I'm like,
a 1,000,000 grain bullet, and all kinds of.
He just took one step and turned around, and he didn't look particularly damaged.
He literally went 5 feet, turned around, put his nose back into the shooting lane that I had, but everything, his body was blocked. It was just the nose. I could see a little bit of the rack, and then literally just standing there again for I don't know how long. You edited it probably.
Like a minute and a half or something, but with a bullet that large, and Brady blew the bottom of the heart off, or like
disconnected it all.
He didn't penetrate the cavity of the heart, but he completely just destroyed the bottom of the heart. So, I mean, he hit it perfect.
Yeah,
but that bull just kind of stood there like, it's all good.
It's so wild.
Yeah.
And then just somehow tips over.
So wild. So are you a moose hunter now?
Well, I mean, as crazy as it is, I did kill a bull 10 years prior. It's my 10-year anniversary of going moose hunting.
Oh, that's right.
With my bow in British Columbia. I shot one. I shot that one the second day of the trip. And this was on the third day of the trip. So 10-year anniversary, shot with my bow, now shot with my rifle. So I've always been really addicted to moose, but it's kind of cool. Like,
third day of the hunt, right? Because you were in there 5 days already.
Yeah, we were in there a long time, yeah.
So do you love it? Like
I love moose hunting. After the first one, I was hooked. And after this one again, I'm hooked again.
You would take a September up there?
It's not even the whole September, though. You could be done by mid-September and come back and have 2 weeks to hunt elk or whatever.
But it's just the adventure side of it, and like we're talking about how cool moose are, and people think they're easy to do, whatever. Yeah, I killed them with my bow on day 2, but like it was hard to do. But the one thing I appreciate about moose though is how they can just disappear.
Yeah, that was surprising to me on film.
A giant animal like that with a giant rack, you could see them all the time. But if they bed down and you're not knowing they're about to bed down, and if you just casually got over there in the glass, you would never see that bull. Because of how thick it is, or the angle you're looking at. Like some of those other bulls we glassed up, you could barely see like a little paddle, and then he would turn and move a little bit, and like you would never see that bull, and you'd make this move on.
That showed through in the film. Like I couldn't believe how you guys were losing bulls, but then you watch Brady's go into the trees, and you're like, oh, I get it,
disappeared.
Yeah, just gone.
Yeah, and we found like they wouldn't move around much right during the day. We just didn't have a lot of action, so it was like the very last 10 minutes of light of the day that you'd actually see them on their feet.
How many cows did we see?
I don't even know if I can say in my hand how many cows we saw, right?
We saw the cow and the calf, the two.
Oh, yeah, the
that
two.
That first day, which is really just one cow. And then that one cow on the after we walked the river that we saw. That's the only two I can remember.
All the rest.
And like what were we seeing when we got down into those meadows? There's tracks everywhere.
Tracks all over the place.
Everywhere.
Giant tracks.
You just think you'd see those moose with how big they are, but no, they were all through that. Fresh tracks.
It shows you how big the country is, though. It just swallows them up like nothing's.
Yeah.
I got to tell you though, it does. You talked about teamwork and stuff. I really feel like moose hunting is a team hunt, and this is the second time we've hunted together. Mm-hmm. We did the one bear hunt a few years ago, and doing it like this, it is really fun to hunt with guys that get it done, that know how to do it, that don't complain, that are upbeat even when they're freezing cold. I mean, Brady, not only does he not bring enough stuff, he doesn't bring enough warm clothes either.
Or enough food.
Yeah, or enough food. The Long Johns deal, that was for real. Yeah. Like, it was cold.
I had to go get my Long Johns on because I was cold.
Another thing Brady didn't bring to Alaska was anything puffy. No puffy pants, no puffy jackets.
Are you?
No, I had puffy pants. I had the 3/4. Yeah.
Oh yeah, those gay ones that went up to your knees.
I did have a puffy jacket, but I didn't bring a extreme puffy.
Oh,
but like I had a vest and that. I was totally good upper body. My lower body and my hands get really cold because I have long.
Because he had every scrap of clothing.
I wore every single. That's
everything he owned.
Yeah, but it's the right amount. It is the right amount. I was sure. Like hunting, like I always say, is not supposed to be like you're in some 5-star hotel.
I mean, you're supposed to do it as comfortable
perfectly
as you want.
degrees. I had everything I needed because I was still comfortable, but there's times where I was like,
lament to me in this film that he wished he had much more robust puffy equipment.
Yeah, the puffy equipment would have been.
But you kind of left them because you're like, they get wet, Alaska.
Yeah.
But then we would don our warm gear, and Brady would be like jealous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Lampers is like the king of down. Well, because of where you live, for one.
Yes.
You choose to live in that.
That I don't get all that cold. I'm lucky.
Yeah.
I got.
You can really hike around and down, and you seem like you're fine.
I regulate.
You have very good body regulation.
Very good for some reason. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm lucky in that regard.
That's a talent to have as a hunter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It is an advantage.
Yeah, I think the takeaway from what you're saying, Brian, is if you are planning a trip to Alaska, make sure you pick your buddies wisely.
Yeah.
Definitely don't bring somebody who is his down, who quits easily, and bring those short, stocky guys that can pack a bull. Have endurance for it.
How did you guys choose on this? Like, how did this all come about?
The whole hunt?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should probably talk about the hunt, logistics, planning, how it went out, how it started.
Yeah.
How did this start? The first, this hunt kind of springboarded off the previous hunt we did.
Yeah.
And the previous hunt was much further north. And my friend, Chris Tobias, I'd hunted grizzlies with him. Shot my first grizz with him. And we got to be good friends, and I love Chris. And he had this hunt connection because he's from Alaska. He's an Alaskan resident. So that's when we went on that caribou/moose hunt, and it was wild. And at that point, we got home, and Lampers was an absolute
research hound.
He was addicted. He's like, we have to do, desperate to go on another moose hunt. Hell or high water, he was going to find a way.
Nice.
And so take it from there, Ryan.
Yeah, I think for folks that are just thinking about doing it, you're going to hit some walls right now with Alaska. Number one, I think the biggest hurdle is going to be your transport. If you're planning on doing something where you're not driving up there and hiking in somewhere, you got to find well ahead of time a transport. Somebody's going to fly you into a spot and be able to get you back out. There's not as many pilots as you'd hope, or opportunities as you'd hope, outfits that are doing it. From what I get, there's a lot of pilots that have just given up piloting. Some were lost through COVID and all this kind of stuff. So I was on an all-out mission to find a transport that was reliable, that we could count on getting us into a spot this year. I didn't want to skip a year, Lorenzo. I was like, I don't want to miss a year for the next
drive.
This is great. Getting older, so this ain't going to be getting easier. So, I did a ton of research, talked to a lot of people, and looked at areas and trophy potential and all that kind of stuff, and figured out where we wanted to go. Found a pilot that was willing to take us, and that's when we kind of made a plan, like we were going, and who we wanted to go with us would be Brady.
What was your combination of tools between DMing people and phone calls and connections versus mapping tools versus regulations and harvest success rates and stuff what was that?
Yeah, to find the pilot on that front, I talked to anybody and everybody who I knew who is either gone to Alaska and had a pilot at some point, or goes up there consistently. And I just reached out to everyone. And then I just started Googling outfits in Alaska.
Just start cold calling all these people?
Cold calling every outfit I could possibly think of. And most of them I was hitting a wall. Like, there's no way I couldn't get a trip till 2025. And that was early, That was early in the season. It's not like I procrastinated on this. It is just difficult to find.
So when would you suggest someone to start doing that?
Right now. Yeah. I feel like we were pretty lucky to find someone that was going to be able to take us that next season. A lot of these folks now, you're booking it 2-3 years out, and that's becoming more prevalent.
Really?
So you really got to plan these trips ahead of time.
There's that many people going up there on these moose hunts, huh?
I don't know if it's all that many people. It's just there's not that many pilots, transport outfits.
They're probably doing something else too.
Ecotourism is getting bigger and bigger, so that's taking up a lot of the seats. So that limits hunters also. That's taking up some spots that we used to have access to.
If they can fly out some tourists that doesn't shoot a moose,
it's clean, it's easy, less logistics.
They typically fly them instead.
It's hard to blame them.
Yeah.
And then they're booked, and then it's like, when do you fit a hunter in? They're like, well, hunters come with gear and then a moose pack out, and
they come with baggage.
Yeah.
But then you got to go through the regs. So I don't know if anybody's real familiar going through Alaska regulations, or you got to sit down and spend some time going through it and making sure and looking at the opportunities. And I researched the crud out of every single unit I could. A lot of it was on Insider, trying to figure out what units made sense to go into, what ones were not just dedicated to residents, which ones had over-the-counter non-res opportunities. That was a big one. And you got to double check and triple check and quadruple check every single thing to make sure where you want to go is okay to go. And so I just talked to a lot of people and did a ton of research, on the computer and with filtering.
Because it seems like it's vast. Like, you have a lot of options you can go. A lot of them.
Yeah.
It's like trying to narrow it down. It takes a lot of time.
And then how did Brady horn in on the trip?
And I just thought he was kind of cool, kind of a cool guy. We've hunted
like you.
We've hunted with him in the past. Yeah, he had
he can see over the brush.
He had long hair back then. Now he doesn't. But
I told you I had a date the other week before. Right after I got back from Salt Lake, I had to cut it.
Man, that's no good reason to cut your hair.
Yeah, it's no good reason.
I know. That was the first time. I cut it like once a year, maybe if that.
Yeah.
I feel like I lost a part of me doing it.
But he's Samson over here. He lost his power.
No, we've hunted with Brady before, and Brady's not one to quit. Brady's got long legs. Brady can pack weight. I figured no better fit for a big moose trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the slowest. Okay, I'm the slowest hiker.
Hey, we got short legs. I'm right there with you.
And it is discouraging when you're walking with these two. It really is. Like, it's frustrating because I have to do a mini jog
just to keep
their
slow walk,
and they're just normal walking. It's frustrating. But Brady loaded up. You wonder how these tall, skinny dudes, how they're going to do under load. Brady's a beast.
He is.
He carried some heavy weight. We both did. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I was impressed.
Yeah. Brady's a stud, but everyone knows he's a stud. So let's talk about the stuff that he didn't do well, which is the gear, forgetting things, and then falling.
Yeah, Brady.
I did good on the gear. Like I had what I needed to survive.
Is good. I do have more clips of Brady falling.
The scene of him falling is so Brady. We talk about this all the time. There's a scene in this Ramtown Audad film that him and Trail just did, and the people who know him, like you guys know him, you know his facial expressions and how he answers is like, it comes through at certain times as like more so Brady than not, like when it's just truly the rough version of himself. That falling scene was another one of those in the Brady.
Are you talking about the one where I climbed on that nasty little section? Because I really wanted to see over it, and I did say afterwards it was worth it.
You saw it.
That's
far
embarrassing at the time.
It's so well. I loved it.
When Brady fell, I was like, I wanted to laugh, but you don't know if somebody was hurt.
Yeah.
So. But I'm a cameraman. I got to capture the whole thing. So I just filmed you.
And then popped right back up.
Well, he struggled a little bit getting up.
I was trying to get up quick so no one noticed.
And it just kept getting worse.
And then he pops right back up and goes,
then he finally
saw where to go.
Yeah.
How many times did you fall on this trip?
I think I only got you 2 other times.
Yeah. It wasn't very many. I think it was maybe opening day and then that one. But like,
look, Lorenzo, he has the wobbly lamb leg on a bunch of occasions, like coming down the chute and the waterfalls and stuff. Yeah. And I thought for sure he was going down. But those little wobble legs, they held and he made it just fine.
Hey, that's why
I think him and Ryan on the downhills, their legs wobble a little. And that's when I feel
you can pick it back up.
Like I don't have that.
Yeah.
So the downhill, I always notice every time I turn around, what the heck? Ryan's right behind me. Like going uphill though, I'm like, oh, I got this. I got a lot of breathing room now.
Going uphill, I'm so far behind. Now you were keeping a running list. Do you do that all the time of the gear that you wish you had brought but didn't?
Yeah.
You do that on every hunt?
Every hunt. Every hunt I want to know, because I don't want to pack too much, but then what other, like this hunt was all about like what other luxury items I could have brought. So it's just like any hunt I go on.
Do you have that list?
Yeah, I'll pull it up right now.
We're back to the great sides of Brady and why he's so successful. He is
I'm a note taker.
He is so dedicated to
details,
information, and learnings every hunt he goes on, and it obviously does really good work for us because.
Let's look long to you guys.
Yeah, it's long.
Okay, here it goes. Do you want me to read them off?
This is beneficial, I think, to the audience.
He comes back from every hunt like this, so we just have mountains of thoughts and ideas and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's just literally every single thing we did out there. I wrote notes down. How many animals we saw, how much my moose weighed. It was 71 pounds. I have it written right here. So I have Alaska gear tweaks, and this is I write this in the field on every hunt. So when I get back, I don't carry too much. I carry the right gear, and I get dialed. All right. I was dialed, but this is how to get more dialed on glamping hunt. This is if you guys wanted it glamping.
Laying on the floor.
on the beach ball. Okay. I got a picture that shows that dialed you were.
And some of these I put on here that Ryan had already brought, but I was like, that was a good idea. I probably wouldn't have thought of that because I don't think of luxury items.
Yeah.
But these are not. Okay, we'll go.
You're not soft.
Yeah, I stay hard. Alaska gear tweaks.
It's going to carry the boat.
Bring small Helinox cot. Bring Helinox chair. The first 2. Thanks, Ryan.
Those are big.
And I'm going to read it off exactly how I written it on here because this is how I was thinking at the time. So there's a swear word here. Bring shit ton of fire starter. Okay.
I like the S bit.
I did have a lot. Yeah. Bring more than 2 battery packs. I only brought 2. I brought a small one and a large one. And I realized that because when we were down there so long trying to kill the bull and my solar panels up on top, I started losing a lot, and I need my phone to digiscope, mapping, all that stuff, dropping notes. Hand to cook fish. That was a really good one. I probably would have forgot that just because
we ate a lot of fish, by the way.
Yeah, a lot of fish.
Did.
Sounds good.
Bring some little small plates, your little micro spikes. Game changer.
That was one that...
Was it Catula? Can't remember the brand.
Catula.
Yeah. Those things were great.
Micro spikes?
Dude,
those
game
are the
changer.
best ones on the market. Yeah.
Especially on that, you're coming down. You saw how steep that was?
Yeah, well, yeah.
And it's all green and stuff.
Probably wet and stuff.
Oh, dude, it's wet.
They just keep you on your feet. Yeah.
That
much better. Berry fields up there. I mean, it's just slick.
Because I had to think a lot when I was taking steps. You're just flying, and even some of that stream stuff we were doing.
It's not just that. Like logs are under that brush and they're slimy. With spikes on, you just step. Like you use so much less energy and calories to stay stable and stay on your feet. You're saving tons of energy.
And did both you guys have those?
Mine got borrowed by my brother, which meant.
Oh, so you weren't dialed on your gear?
I didn't have them.
He wasn't dialed on his gear.
I looked for them before we left. Couldn't find them.
You did say that.
And I was like, dang it. And it was a huge mistake.
And microspikes in water. Some of those lakes, lake shores, creek beds, super slimy. So they're nice to have. You know, even over top boots, like you can just put them on your croc.
When Brady crossed that creek in that one scene, does it look like he's going to go in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was.
Yeah, I did too.
They used to call me a genetically engineered fisheries biologist. I know how to cross streams like a madman.
Like, I thought you were going down, but those microspikes help a lot in that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
This other one, all right? I would have never thought to do this because, again, I'm probably an idiot. 2 pairs of boots.
2 pairs of boots.
Both brought 2 pairs of boots.
Yeah, it'd be
It's
pretty
Alaska.
smart in the swamp.
It's Alaska. Or get dropped off by a plane. Why not bring 2 pairs?
Again, me failing on the luxury items, going on a glamping trip with the boys.
It sounds like real glamping right now.
Okay, here's another huge one. So I learned this from Brian. We're out hanging out for multiple days, just sitting there eating moose meat.
Yep.
Trying to start fires. Trying to do other random stuff. Flex tail air pad pump.
Yeah. For
also your pad and for I have an exclamation point, stoking fires.
Yeah.
That air pad thing, game changer. I ordered one. I have it at home right now.
It's like $35 or something.
I bought one. I did it from the standpoint of like, I've done this enough. I am so frustrated with blowing up pads every night on a elk hunt.
end of a day.
Because we bivvy hunt them. So every day you pull camp and go and pull camp and go. And every night blowing up a pad. So this year I bought one of those. Best thing ever. And I didn't even use it for fire.
Yeah.
Best thing
I
ever.
almost use it now more for stoking fire than my air pads. Yeah.
Really?
I thought that was really good for the fire part.
Yeah.
It's got a light on it. Yeah, it's like
Light too.
a lot of uses.
Yeah.
The next one also learned from the all-wise Brian Call.
Thank you.
So we were out, I think this was after I killed my bull. We were starting to transport meat. Ryan had not met up with us yet. All of a sudden, like, we're going to go into the bear den. I guess there's a lot of bears probably down here. And I was like, I should make sure my pistol can come out of my holster. I got to grab it. I can't get it out. I'm literally taking 2 hands trying to get it out of my holster.
That's right.
I cannot get it. The whole time it's like, whatever, built up moisture in there. I don't know how rust could get on Kydex or whatever, but like I cannot get out. So I'm thinking, man, it'd be really nice to have some gun oil right now. Why did I bring gun oil? But the smart fella this guy is, he's like, Brady, what do we have a plethora of right now? I'm like, I don't know, water, like it's raining every single day. We have rendered moose fat.
Ooh.
Take that and rub it all over your pistol. I rubbed it all over the pistol. Shove that thing in and out. Perfect.
Damn.
Doesn't rust.
So I felt
It's
a
a
lot
woodsman
more
right there.
safe
Also
going
on
through
your
the bear
boots.
den.
That's a woodsman.
Smear that stuff all over your boots.
It's great for boots.
And they're just that much more waterproof again.
Really?
Game changer.
I love the
woodsman over
bear
here.
grease for the boots nowadays. I'm pretty much only using the bear grease. I've tried all kinds of other options on boots. I don't know what it is about bear grease, but
It always works.
Mother Nature, man.
it lasts
Yeah,
longer.
it soaks in so well, I think. It
Yeah.
just permeates all that leather.
So that was a big one.
That's a huge one in bear country. That's
Especially when he couldn't get his gun out.
Yeah. It's like, how many days has this been locked
Thanks
in
for
here?
having my back.
Well, the day we stopped, I actually grabbed it out because we had to go through that little funnel, and then we actually grabbed both our
Did you go through
pistols out.
tactical style? Just
Yeah, we
have
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here. Okay. I'm going to sound like, I sound like a big idiot on this podcast.
No.
New sleeping pad. You idiot. Carry a spare. It literally says, you idiot, carry a spare.
Carry a spare. Especially on a drop-in hunt like
Yes.
that. Bring 2
Yeah.
air pads.
Yep. Okay. SteriPen. All right. I've had my SteriPen for 3 years, I think.
Didn't bring it.
And mine shit the bed in that hunt.
Yeah.
Literally, I had to borrow their SteriPen. I had another backup, drops and stuff like
Yeah.
that, but it's easy to use a SteriPen. So getting a new SteriPen would have been great before that hunt. Lightweight.
Also, on that note, we use the UL, the ultralight. I have found that the return rate or something, I think it's almost like 20% work, 80% don't. It's been that bad.
Really?
So when you get a good one, you got a good one. But I've had some people, my dad bought a new one, Brady's crapped out. I've seen a lot of them just quit working. They're a little finicky sometimes. But having a second one in camp.
Yeah. That would have been badass, especially on a hunt when you're getting dropped off.
Yeah.
What is that
Brady's
weigh?
borrowing
Like,
my
machine.
Brady's borrowing mine constantly, and I'm running out of juice to charge it. You know.
Yeah, those things are so lightweight.
Yeah. The next one, lightweight hatchet, similar to the MKC one. That's something I'd probably actually buy. Yeah, it's expensive, but it's worth it. And it's small, light, compact. We use that thing all the time.
Yep.
I was really jealous of you guys' Duckworth sweaters. That's on
I
here as
want
well.
one of those. They don't have my size in it ever, though.
They look good. They look good.
They sell
and they
out
seem like they're
quick.
performing really good.
Quick. I've wanted one for so long. I can't get it.
Yeah. They're pretty well stocked right now. Like right now, I heard. So.
They're in
They
stock.
are for this
Oh, I'm going home and buying one.
for this hunt. It's such a nice piece of kit because your down gets wet
Yeah.
and it's really it doesn't work. But that merino
is amazing.
and then it regulates temperature well. If it does get wet, it's still warm. That's one of the things that I took notes on was I like puffy gear, but if you do not have a wood stove with you, which we didn't for Span,
Yeah.
every day that puffy gear goes downhill.
Yeah.
And if you don't have some gear that can stay warm even when it's wet, you're in trouble.
That's where those sweatshirts shine. I used to get made fun of by you.
I did. I mocked that thing for 3 years.
What'd you call it?
I said he looked like a bum living under a bridge in San Francisco.
They are kind of like overbuilt.
I look
for
like
the
that
hood.
with or without the sweatshirt on. Though, so.
Now, in fairness to me, Ryan was wearing that old gray one that he'd had for like 70 years, and it did look like a homeless man's sweatshirt.
Nice.
It did.
Yeah.
And-
since then, my wife hated it too. By the way,
Got you a new
every Christmas I
There
seem
we
to
go.
get another one.
The thing with
There we go.
the thing that Ryan brought home though was I sweat too much. If we climb hills and stuff, it's got to be really cold for me to be able to be active in it. Where Ryan
Can be active.
can be active in it, no problem. It doesn't overheat. But he did say he likes the worn out one because you buy it, you get it. It's got its weight, right? But when you wear it out, I guess it gets that much more. It's a better weight garment after a few years.
It thins out like all wool does. Yeah, it gets real skinny in the end.
And then
So you like the skinny one?
likes the skinny
Well,
one.
the skinny one I can wear. It may look like total hobo, but there's not much to it anymore. Now it's more of a kind of a comfort blanket, but
so
it still
comfortable.
regulates heat really good. But it is way less warm
I'm
than
getting
when
one
you buy
tonight.
it new.
I find
wanted
myself
one for so
wearing it
long.
all winter at home, everywhere we go.
Yeah.
I can't decide though. Do I like the brown, the gray, or the green?
Got to
You
get them
on the
all.
beach.
Yeah.
Sounds like I need one for date night.
Yeah. There you go.
I might wear one tonight too. The last thing I had on here.
You have one of those, you probably won't have to cut your hair.
There we go.
Yes.
There we go.
'Cause you
He'll stand
look
out
the part
so much
more.
with that he won't have to cut his hair.
Yes.
I like that. I like that idea. The last one is a big item, but I was super jealous of all the food you guys had because of
No way.
having like my food was
I
fine,
know what I was gonna say.
but you had a freeze dryer, so they could make some
Harvest.
really unique treats.
Did you
Like,
buy a Harvest Right freeze dryer on your?
Yeah. Well, I have the link underneath it. It's Harvest Right. Yeah, but like
Brady and I
freeze
talked
dryer-
about that in the truck out
Yep,
on.
actually, I was
out
showing
our deal
him.
today.
Yeah.
like
Sounds awesome.
this protein packed waffles.
It's a lifetime purchase.
That little whatever
Yep.
smoothie looking thing or whatever that thing is.
man.
They drop a little drop of
yeah.
water on it. put it in your
protein
mouth.
smoothies. Waffles, just quality protein
You,
packed waffles.
could grab
It's easy.
100 eggs at the
Oh yeah, the breakfast
and then you just
scramble.
toss them up, throw them in the freeze dryer, and you have meals for weeks.
Every cook, I run the medium.
Yeah, that sounds
And
awesome.
every cook I do, it's just a 4 tray. I can do 84 eggs at a time.
Damn.
So 84 eggs per batch,
How long's the batch take?
18 hours, 24. How long does it take?
Usually with meals, you're looking at about 30 hours.
For the full meal.
With some things like eggs don't take quite that long. Fruits don't take that long. It depends on the moisture content. It regulates that. So
It's just it changes the whole game.
this is something Brady Miller, of all people.
Yeah,
needs
I
to
have
own.
everything
Yeah.
except for this in my life.
Yeah.
and
Because-
I love doing this sort of thing.
Well, I would love to make like true macros and then freeze dry it myself. Like
Yeah,
really
just
food.
make the food you love.
Yeah,
that you
not
eat at
having to
home.
buy food to fit my macros, but really like build them.
And
Yeah.
portion
Freeze
size
dry
it
it,
out.
portion size, the whole deal, just my way.
Yeah.
And then take that food into the back country.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome.
Because of the carnivore thing that Ryan has got me doing, I am curious, because I'm eating steak every day. And you told me you did freeze dry a steak. I've we've all probably tried those old timey Mountain House where it's like the whole
Yeah.
chicken breast, and it rehydrated, and you're like, hey, this is the real deal.
Not that bad.
Now, things with high fat content are a little more difficult to freeze dry usually, but I'm finding like the new freeze dryers.
You can still do it. Your shelf life isn't going to be as long, so you want to make sure, like after you do something real fatty, all the air gets sucked out. And I usually add one of them bigger oxygen absorbers to go along with it, like the 700 cc, just for extra.
How long will it last? What is the shelf on that?
Most foods you can get 25 years, but a high fatty piece of meat, I don't know what that is. I'm just not letting it go that long.
Do you think it cuts to weeks?
Oh,
Months?
no, I think it's
No,
Years?
it's going to go a while for sure. I just don't know what that line is.
we're going
I'm
to
not
eat it
sure.
before it's a problem.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not building. I'm not prepping for 25 years out. I'm prepping for this season.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if I did a
Oh, yeah.
ribeye today, I'm
Yeah.
fine in November.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, what are you?
Now,
what's a typical?
What I like to do though, instead of just doing a steak, is just like fajitas. You
Yeah.
cut it into a bunch of little pieces and freeze dry it that way. It freeze dries better, and then you can just add water to it, hot water, and stir that up.
Such
You got it.
back up.
Yeah.
So, my question: are you envisioning? You're having like 2 to 3 pounds of beef a day, plus maybe some eggs.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, probably not that much if I'm doing eggs. Some mornings I do a bunch of eggs, but right now I'm doing a lot of
So
steak.
let's say you do a ribeye and like 6 eggs. So the next backcountry hunter, are you just going to grab your ribeye and just
Cut it into a bunch of pieces.
cut it into slices and dump it in there?
Yeah. So you and I were just on a trip. I brought a bunch of meals in case we needed them, and I just took a pile of eggs. I freeze dried those. I freeze dried a ton of bacon and a bunch of just bear sausage and elk sausage that I had. Had it all cooked up, freeze dried it, and bagged that up. And it's all animal based, carnivore friendly, I guess. And that was my meal. It's just as good as anything else.
Yeah, but I want to eat ribeye.
And you can put cheese
I
in
know,
there.
ribeye's
Yeah.
where
Oh,
it's
yeah. Yeah. You don't have to use, sausage or bacon or anything. You just pack a ribeye.
Have you tried it?
Oh, yeah.
It bounces back to a ribeye.
It does.
Like,
It does. It's got a little bit different taste to it, but it's still ribeye.
So you're saying
Still
I can take a
good piece of
ribeye weight and I can make it lighter and then get the nutrients back again?
Still get your fatty ribeye.
Sign me up for that.
yeah, no
Well,
kidding.
the other thing I wanted to know is, can you just crunch it cold?
Yeah,
How good
absolutely.
is that?
Yeah.
Because I would think that fat and stuff would actually.
Yeah,
I
because
often eat
that-
those freeze dried meals without rehydrating.
Without
them.
yeah, just
you're
like
doing that a
eggs
lot.
and
There's actually-
scrambles and all that stuff. You can just eat it
Like chips.
popcorn.
Really?
What was that one thing you had? Did you have something with sweet potatoes?
Yeah, I had sweet potatoes all cubed, right? That I had cooked in bear fat, like fried up,
Yeah.
just a little bit, and then I mixed them with eggs. So I had like an egg scramble with sweet potato in there, and I've done russet potato and stuff too, like that. And then I take that, put that in the freeze dryer. But then I'm on the mountain and we're kind of busy, and we didn't bring a cook stove. Whatever, we're running out of fuel. I mean, I just open it and I'm eating, and it's like sweet potato chips. Mm-hmm.
Sounds awesome, actually.
The eggs are salty, and they taste good
good.
too. And so I probably eat half of my meals without hydrating them.
I can see that for sure.
Yeah.
And they're, especially the sweet potato bites, and you got to be careful when you start freeze drying apples and things like that, which I don't know if I'll ever eat them again. This carnivore thing's kind of changing my life.
Kind of nice.
But that stuff's like candy.
Really
when you
good.
make it hyper palatable like that,
Yeah.
you could eat 10 apples in one few minute settings and then you're wrecked. It's like
Yeah.
eating all those bananas.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you got to be careful. You got to be mindful. You got to portion that stuff out. You can't just put 10 apples in a bag and then eat it like you would potato chips or you're hosed.
Yeah, you'd be in a rough spot there for a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I think that would be a game changer. Like I enjoy the
Yeah.
wild game processing side of it and make my own jerky,
You're not
hammer
gonna-
sausage.
you're
You're
not
just
gonna
bringing all
regret.
wild game into the field too. It'd be
And,
awesome.
and then
Yeah,
now I'm
that's-
extending that
Yep.
by making my other foods, by using some of wild game or using whatever else. And I just
That's
enjoyed
the
that.
way.
Like we did that before. You guys had that in the bear hunt before, and I got to see a taste of that and taste a little bit of that. And now in this hunt, it's just like really hit home the point. Like that is my next purchase.
So if
It's
you're
something I need to make.
if you're going 14-day backcountry hunt, like my elk hunt, 14-day backcountry hunt, eating freeze dried meal 3 times a day, how long would it take you to make that? Like how far in advance are you working on that? Does that take you like a month to make and freeze dry?
No, so like it depends on the size freeze dryer you have.
Go big.
So I've got a medium. There's pluses and minuses. So a medium works really well, and it's about 30-hour cook. The large, you got to get your own circuit for that, dedicated circuit. So you got to do a little wiring. And the XL, you need its own circuit, the plug-in at
So you
the
have a
house. So the
medium?
medium is the small and medium are the ones that you can just run into any 110 outlet.
Yeah.
It's real easy. And I've had that medium for years now, and I'm
Mine's
getting about
220.
Yeah, I'm getting about 10 meals per batch per cook.
Oh shit.
10 meals. So
Okay.
you got 30 hours into that, and you just try to run it 24/7, and
A week you'd have it knocked out.
yeah, in
no
a week you
problem.
got a ton of meals.
Yeah.
Now, Brad, our buddy Brad, he has the smallest one they make. It's a cute little thing.
It's a
Cute
three
little
three
thing.
tray. Yeah,
Dude, you don't want that.
no, go as big as you can possibly
It-
go.
He's got to be working it
all the time.
all the time. When Ryan and I can do 80 something eggs all at once, he's doing like 2 meals or something.
Yeah,
And then he's got, and it takes longer. A couple days later, he throws in 2 more. It's just not that.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not that much more. We've been talking about it on the show for a while. And, if you are on a budget and things are tight, go in on it with 2 of your buddies or something. And then just take turns, because I'd rather just run it for 2 weeks and have all my meals for the year, or 3 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the next guy can use it for his, and you can kind of switch around with it.
I'm just thinking of a business opportunity for myself. I'm just going to buy one, and I'm going to charge all the GOHUNT employees to
Yeah.
use,
To make your own.
to make so I can
make
pay it back,
freeze-dried.
so that I can.
You think about it, like,
You had
those
our
freeze-dried
producer over there
meals-
perk up.
was literally like to say, why don't you buy us one and I'll make all your meals for you.
I'll do that.
done.
What was just said is our producer will make all my meals for me if I buy the
XL.
larger XL for the office.
We probably got 220 back in the warehouse. We
If
can
I
just plug
buy
that
so if
thing
I
in.
buy it for the office, she'll make all my food
100%.
exactly to my specs,
Son,
perfectly to my specs. Okay, here
Now
we go.
make the XL. So if you get the XL,
There we go.
It's not going to take too many cooks. Like the XL is like, I think it's a 7 tray, 6 tray.
it's 40 to 50 pounds.
Yes. So way different than what I'm able to do in my medium.
What, So that if the XL is 40 to 50 pounds, what's the medium? Would you say 10?
10 to, yeah, something like that.
10
12
to 15,
12 to
up
15.
to 40 to 50? Holy shit. It's way different. You'd
It's
be done in
next
one one
level.
cook.
Now, you'll get a deal if you use a link.
What's the link?
There's one on my YouTube channel.
What's the link?
It's just you'll see it. It's a harvest right link. Do you have a link?
We have a link.
You don't have a
too.
code, it's a link.
It's a
Go to the
link.
website and find it.
Yeah.
And if you go there, usually those links will take you to the best deal they're offering at the time.
Yeah.
Awesome.
If you just go
There
straight
we
to the
go.
website, you often don't get that. And you'll save on like a $2,000 machine, or
Sometimes you'll pick it up for $500 off.
save $300,
Yeah.
$500,
Yeah.
You're in.
$3,000. You'll usually
$400.
save 500.
I think
That's
the XL is like 48, something like that.
49 about 5 grand.
The XL's $5,000.
So here's then the one question
But
I
it's
got.
so many meals.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be done in a week.
Yeah.
Not even. You'd be done in one cook for me for a 14-day hunt.
Yeah.
Yep.
So here's the question I got. Since I've fully invested into doing my own wild game for the rest of my life, because I've bought everything throughout my whole life.
Yeah.
I've had a meat grinder now for 22 years, and it's still running. Is this like a buy once, I'll have it, and my kids will have it someday?
That's what it is.
That's what I like about that.
one of
It's
those
like it's a
lifetime
higher
purchases.
investment right away, but it's like it's all the meat process stuff I bought. It's like buying, reloading stuff. Higher investment, but I have it forever.
It's not just that.
It's
It's like,
similar, like what I think of it, like an air chamber sealer, right? Those things last forever, and it's almost a must if you're doing all your own game processing.
Yeah.
You know, you can wrap and do that whole game, but if you get an air chamber sealer, they're going to cost you out of the gates. But they are, like in my prior business in the fish industry, we had one. We must have had that thing for 25 years, and that thing is still going strong, just like day one. You got to
you guys
change
using
out
it
a
harder
bladder.
probably than we would use it.
Oh, use it a ton. So you got to change the element out every once in a while. You know, one of the bladders fails, but it's an easy fix.
the thing is too,
So
things are sketchy out there, and
Yeah.
food store just for life.
it's
Yeah.
peace of mind just having bins in your
food.
basement of
Yeah.
food that you can always just get out
And good
Also,
food. The
yeah,
food you
good
wanted.
food.
The
You
food
might-
you know?
Come across something and go, hey, there's a great deal on piles of meat or piles of berries or something. But where are you going to put them? Freezer?
Yeah.
Can 'em?
Yeah.
Well, you can just take them right as is, throw them in the freeze dryer, and now you have all this food. You just keep banking it, you know?
Yeah.
Gosh, that really made a lot of sense right there. Like, there's
does.
so many deals you see, and I'm like, I can't fit it anymore because my freezer. I just got another freezer now because they're always
You
full.
come across like boxes of peaches,
Yeah.
and they're like, they're going to last a day or two before they're totally rotten. You got to can them. I don't have time to do
I don't
that.
have time,
And I
man.
don't want to freeze them all. I can't. My freezer's full. No, man, you can save so much money. My wife loves doing that berries thing. So she'll grab blueberries by the bucket loads right when they're at the prime time. Just dump them all in the freeze dryer.
That's awesome. There we go. We're on to something here. I can actually do
win.
real macros now like that. That'd be
So now you
perfect.
appreciate my notes?
When you
I do.
hydrate,
I always appreciate your notes.
know you do.
When you-
always. I love your notes.
it's amazing too. Like we did a lot of dehydrated meals for a long time, and they don't last as long. The shelf life isn't anywhere close. But also, it's hard to rehydrate dehydrated food.
takes
Freeze-
twice as long, at least twice as long if you rehydrate dehydrated food.
Yeah.
And, you know, the science isn't perfect, but they're saying anywhere from 10 to 40% nutrient loss on dehydrated
Dehydrated.
versus freeze dried.
I always wondered that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's a heating process, it's a cooking process.
So when
Yeah, I
you
always
throw
wondered that.
when you throw that freeze dryer in, that's why you can actually rehydrate a ribeye,
Real easily.
and it's still good. You know, you can really rehydrate. You can take just about anything. and
I have a picture of you with. What did you have like a little ice cream bar thing you brought?
Okay, that's my previous life. I've turned a
your
new
previous
corner.
life.
Trying to leave.
I have a photo. Do you want me to post it right now?
I'm not joking. Like I had an ice cream bar every day.
Yeah.
A Fat Boy, at least 2.
Hey, when you're hunting though, I mean, might as well.
And I mean,
He'd bust that on and be like, how is that possible?
Ice cream sandwiches.
it was just one after the other because they're air. There's a lot of calories,
Yeah, they don't weigh anything when freeze dried.
but when they're freeze dried, they're air. And so, but it isn't good for you. You know, that much ice cream, even when you're burning the calories.
I mean,
it was nice.
here's your previous life.
No wonder he's running the camera because he didn't want us to film him to
Eating
then
that?
put eating
Yeah,
that.
okay.
But
Yeah,
you know,
that's
I have a
true.
photo here. I might have to throw it out there when the film drops. So if you
Got it.
crunching down,
Yeah, there was a few things I edited out of the film.
Oh,
Where I got mocked, that came out. Yeah, and where
and
Brady
where-
got mocked.
Perfect.
where I was falling.
Let's
you
throw-
added
I
those
left a
in.
little in there.
Let's throw all the Brady mocking in there.
Yeah.
People do need to see that sign. That's fun. Sign.
The making fun of my bag, that one pissed me off. I cut that one out. He calls it my diaper bag,
Yeah.
my camera bag.
It does look like a diaper bag. It legit is
Just
a
like a
diaper
diaper
bag,
bag.
that he carries up there.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
It works.
it's a camera bag.
Function over fashion.
That's right.
I do have one question I want to hit when we were talking about logistics of Alaska here, even though we went through all that other logistic stuff, and we can stop making fun of me for a little bit. I want to know, so like when you're doing mapping research for a state like this, for moose, what are you kind of looking for in terrain features and habitat to try to kind of hone it in? Because it is vast, and it seems like there could be moose everywhere. It probably is. How are you trying to narrow it down?
Typically, Ryan's looking for a place no one on God's green earth would ever go.
And I noticed that about where we were.
Isn't that the same drill with everything?
Yeah.
It's mule deer, it's bear,
Nope.
it's elk, it's
What sort of little features?
Remember how we were sitting there and get ready to go like the day before, and he's like, "See this?" And the pilot was like, "Yeah, we'll die trying to land on that."
It did sound fun, though.
I mean, as we bank around that corner, like he's like, "But nobody's been there."
That was
Because they
key.
die.
yeah, because they can go there.
Yep. Yeah, I think for Alaska, because it is so vast, definitely looking for, using the maps a lot, looking for potholes. Looking for just potholes, no-name potholes and things like that, might be dropping you into a place that nobody's hunting. Because
there's
how you do it in
popular-
Alaska. You look for those places.
There's popular places to land.
Just like everywhere else.
Yeah. And Alaska is in and out with a plane and float plane. And so, there's popular potholes out there with names and all that. But yeah, that's a tip for sure. There's a ton of water in Alaska. Now you also got to look at the other features around there. You're looking at little elevated areas so that you can get your glassing. We're going up there with the tactic of not calling, but glassing them up and going and putting a stock on them. Big flat areas without any benches and just a lot of water and places like that. We're typically not looking for that. We're avoiding that. We're not just going out there to call in moose. We want to do it just like we do all our other hunts, from bear to deer. We're going out there to glass them, and then we're putting a stock on them. That's just our favorite way to do it.
Anything about like timber? You're looking at like some dark timber, some other willows, alders.
We're looking for
combination.
We're looking for the more open stuff for sure. If you notice where we were on this hunt, there's a lot of open. There's a lot of meadows, but it also had the dark timber that the bulls love.
Yep, I think
Your bull loved it. But we're staying away from those areas where it is nothing but thick spruce trees. For calling, that could be money. And you obviously want to coincide that area with the rut where you have a chance of calling them in. But we're going to avoid that. We want to hit those areas where it's a little more open and we actually have a possibility of seeing a moose from a distance.
That's a good answer.
That's awesome.
Dude, I noticed you did a lot of mapping research.
Yeah.
And then we were doing a lot of mapping research leading up to it.
Yeah.
Once you finally kind of told me where we were going, didn't really know at first.
Welcome to the Brady Miller treatment.
I know. He
What's
gave it
funny-
back to me.
When I know the routine. We're going to get there, and Ryan has already picked out like 7 places we're going to go in 4 days or something. And we did. We pretty much were like, we can't go. We found a couple giants, but of course, there might be one bigger.
Of course.
So we have to go way over here and look over there, and we have to go way over here and look over here.
Got to cover the country.
Are we going to show our day of, this was before the season, of downstream travel
Walking
and
the rivers?
up through the thick stuff and that whole
was a
venture?
day.
Just because we wanted to get eyeballs on this one little spot.
It's some of the best footage we
Complete
have, but
Opposite direction.
it's not in the film at the moment.
Yeah.
We did see moose, but we saw more bears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Saw a lot of bears over there.
We only saw that one
That was-
big moose and,
that was a trek.
Yeah, that
and
one.
a cow, but that one was killable, I think.
I do think.
But when you drop off, because it was closer to a pickup point, I think, than yours was.
Yeah.
But man, it was pretty far from where we were
That's a
at.
long way.
It really looked like Mordor over there.
Yeah.
But you
So
know,
let me get
it's
this straight.
not that big a deal though. If we did have TP stove,
Yeah.
which is another thing I think to reinforce, even with the wall tent, wood heat. Like we knew guys that brought propane stoves. They're geared to dry.
You're
out.
not going to dry out with propane.
So wood heat, and boot dryers.
Yeah.
Some kind of boot dryer. You got to have that. But
Good
yeah,
rain gear is another one. Really good rain gear.
You're going to live in your
yeah,
reindeer.
my rain gear sucked. I was old, and it didn't really hold up well.
I was surprised you brought the lightweight stuff.
Well, I
I'm
couldn't
just trying to dig one in right now.
Yeah,
You said I didn't bring
I couldn't
the other
find.
stuff.
I was refused to buy some when I have like four sets, you know, like top of the line, even though Ryan hates the camo pattern. But I did find it after I got home. Yeah.
Perfect. That's right. When you want to find it. Yeah. Just make sure you have it.
But I do think that if you had a teepee stove, then we could have, from that point, taken a couple days to go kill that moose if we wanted to.
Let me get this straight, though. So you guys get there, and you guys have been told how many different times that you don't want to kill anything a half a mile or a quarter mile from, and you guys are going to the furthest places to go look at an area?
I think we all have that same mentality, that we crave that adventure.
Well, part of the mapping went like this. You know, like Ryan said, where could a moose be? And we knew where we landed and where we camped. But then it was a process of Ryan confirming with our transporter all the pickup points.
Yeah.
So you might have a pickup point 10 miles from where our camp is. So we weren't restrained by our camp. We were really restrained by pickup points, which meant we had a lot of satellite pickup points. So our whole area got massively expanded. So if we did see a bull,
that's really smart thinking.
Yeah, we could just, as long as it was close enough to one of our pickup points, we'd kill it over there. And we'll
a body of water big enough that a plane could land on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's key.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Opens up your hunting country by a lot.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I mean, you got to talk to your pilot ahead of time and make sure you know. I mean, they usually have a distance. Is it 800 yards? What size pothole do you need to land on? And they can give you all that info. Wow. And that allows you to do more.
And you just go through and measure it, measuring tool, measure it, and see which ones are good, bad.
Yep, measure distance, crossed on your maps, figure out the pothole.
And then when you talk to the pilots, some of them are like, yeah, but the wind.
Or
right there won't do it because of the wind.
Yeah.
With the good satellite imagery, you can also tell the shallow potholes from the deeper ones. And you just want to avoid the shallow ones. Most pilots are going to tell you no on the shallow ones.
Yeah.
Rocks they can't see and whatnot.
Where Sexy Beast was later in the hunt, there was it looked like you could land on that to me. And I felt like Ryan was pressuring the man to come and pick it up over there.
I was.
He wouldn't do it, though.
He said no.
You got to find better pilots up there. We got to get them going.
Yeah.
I just got one more question here. I know it's literally 9 p.m. right now.
Yeah, it's 9 p.m.
We kept these guys here way
We
late.
started at, 8 with you guys?
It's been a long day.
Yeah.
It's a fun day.
Good day.
Yeah.
Man.
I think they were here at like 7:30 this morning.
Were you guys here that early?
Yeah.
Here we go. It's a full day's work.
Yeah. Everyone's favorite subject. So going to Alaska is a dream hunt for everyone. Everyone kind of wants to know, what does it cost to do a hunt like this?
Yeah. I'm genuinely curious.
It kind of seems like,
Great question.
Yeah.
it kind of seems like it's out of reach, but for doing it, it's actually not.
No. That's been my goal here. Putting I want to do this for the next handful of years to figure out the cheapest way I can do this and still be successful, because a trip that we did last year, the time prior to this one, that was more costly. And I wanted to do everything I could try to figure out how can we reduce these costs by a lot. And we figured it out. Like this hunt, we basically cut the cost in half from last year's hunt, that's a big win, I think. So again, a lot of it's gonna depend on the transport, not necessarily from where you start to get to your destination in Alaska. There's that cost, but the biggest cost is gonna be getting you from whatever village or town that you're in Alaska to where you want to moose hunt. That's gonna be your
biggest cost.
Your biggest cost by a mile.
That's the chartered. You got to charter a bush pilot, basically.
Yeah. And it's going to cost far more than the moose tag itself, which is an expense.
Yeah.
But, do we want to put a dollar number to this?
Yeah. I'm genuinely curious.
Good
Range.
range.
Low end, high end.
I think if you're very frugal and you think things out and you're smart with it, you can do this for $5,000.
Kill a moose for $5,000.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah. That's what we did this year.
Yeah, I think it's really important to time your days in some of these places too, because it's really expensive. And if you want to bring gear up, it's expensive to buy gear up there. So take all that into consideration. Food's really expensive.
Yeah.
But it's for me, it was I think it's $600 flight from Vegas, $800 tag, and then transport fees on top of that. And that's
the transport fees probably are very changing. It's always going to be different.
It varies from pilot to pilot and area to area. There's some areas of Alaska that are very expensive. You're not going to get a transporter for Well, there's certain places that, they're fetching $6,500 just for your transport from one village out to where you're moose hunting and back. That's just that transport fee per person. That's not for the group. That's
per person? Holy hell.
Yeah, that's common.
So killing a moose for less than $5,000 is no joke. When you think about, a lot of people think their only way to go kill a moose is to go outfitted somewhere.
Right.
And that's like, now you're talking crazy money. What are those up to now? 20, 30, something like that? They're just crazy prices.
The thing is it is a over-the-counter type do-it-yourself adventure that can be had in Alaska. And it's so rewarding to just do it by yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, there's probably some outfitters and guides hate my guts, but it's just.
I mean, but it's the reality when you do when you do it yourself.
If we had been with the guide or outfitter, I can almost guarantee they would have said, "You can't go kill that one, and you can't go kill that one."
We would have been handcuffed.
Yeah, so you get not only do you get the full perspective and appreciation of the adventure itself because it's all on you, but you also have the freedom once you're out there to go hunting, to go make the decisions that you want to make.
Your hunt isn't cut short either. Like, you get your days. You stay as long as you feel like you need to.
But I mean, let's be honest. Like, for those listening, there are people that don't want to do all that DIY stuff. I mean, Brian, we had conversations with people when we got back into town that they loved this trip, but they'll never do this again. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They'll never. It was too hard.
The one guy said if they could have snapped their fingers and been back in their bed in their hometown, they would have done it.
They would have done it.
Really?
And they were successful as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're glad, in hindsight, that the country is because they were forced to rule it out and do it. But had they had a magic wand, it's like the bell at Bud's, right? You'd have rang the bell. Mm-hmm. They'd quit.
Yeah.
If they could have.
It was the difficulty of terrain.
It's no joke.
And the constant moisture.
Yeah, but you don't have an option. That I love the psychology behind the bell at Bud's because you literally have the tap out right there when you want it, and it really tests somebody's mental, like really tests that, But when you're out there, you don't. Like you're there. Just keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have a choice often. I mean, the only way you're getting out is on your own two legs, Yeah. And I think when we're out there, it's rare that we aren't thriving. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it's rare that we're not like hyper comfortable, well fed, warm, fun,
good company.
Everything's we're good for weeks.
Yeah, I could have stayed longer.
Yeah,
we're totally comfortable.
When we sat there and talked to all these other dudes who did the same hunts we did, kit's not dialed, woodcraft isn't there, experience it. They got wet on day one, and they were freezing their butts off the whole time.
Yeah.
And some people the fact is, some people don't love that kind of misery.
Yeah.
I don't love it.
There's some of us.
I love it.
I love it. I
love it.
Type 2 fun.
It's type 2 fun. You do it.
You love it because you're skilled in it.
But as soon as you get done with that trip.
There's nothing better in life than type 2 fun.
Yeah,
it is the greatest pleasure on
some people absolutely hate it, and it'll drive them to never do it again.
Yeah.
True. But I'm talking about the guys that were woefully, boots filled up with water, crossed a creek, and then for the next 10 days,
just soaked.
Their boots never were dry.
Yeah.
Or raft tipped over, rifle gone, gear gone, meat bags gone.
That dude's rifle went.
Learning how to start fires with everything around you is wet. Like you really have to start.
No fire, no ability to start a fire.
Yeah.
Like when you're that, when you don't have the skills and you're in that environment, which I did a lot when I was young. I did the same thing. And I look back on that time in my life to now, and I'm like, there's a reason why I'm more successful now. A big part of it is we know what we're doing.
Yeah. The more so this hunt sounds like one of those like real test yourself hunts, just in all aspects, woodsmanship, all the way through, right?
Yeah.
Survival, woodsmanship, everything. And it's those are the awesome ones, though.
Yeah.
Those are like the real good.
That's what's so great about Alaska.
Yeah.
But Alaska can tear you up too. It can kill you quick if you don't know what you're doing and you're not tough. So
you got to take it serious.
Again, pick your hunting partners wisely.
That day we were on Sexy Beast, and it was time to go, and we couldn't locate him that day, and we're like, we're running out of time, but we know where Tynes is. The ground we covered to get over there before the sun went down was
ridiculous.
You don't see it in the film. I don't know how to show you that, but the bushwhack, the climb, we crossed the whole mountain range.
Went
got
up
to the
and over
other
a mountain
side.
range. Like
And
literally.
then boom, there he was. And then to have a freaking sow and her cubs come in
it out from you
and
right
take
there.
it from us when we were that close to victory. Both opportunities got snatched from us that day. After we kind of checked them both off. We thought we're so cocky. We thought we were killing them both on opening day. Kill that one. Run over there, kill that one.
There's nothing for you.
That's true.
And we got humbled. And I think a lot of folks would get discouraged. They wouldn't make the trek, by the way, in that one day. But it wasn't.
Yeah.
The next day we were up and ready to go again.
We were so motivated
Well,
to keep going.
those real test yourself hunts like this, it's the survival and comfort is 70% of it. It's like if you can get yourself there, then you're good. You can go do those types of things.
Well, when we saw Brady's moose at the top, we had a decision to make. We didn't have any food left.
No, we had one days.
dinner.
Yep. We had
one
planned to be
dinner.
gone 2 days away from camp, spiking out, and then we were gone for 4.
I had one dinner. I didn't have a breakfast. I didn't have lunch that day. I had one dinner, which I was going to eat at the end of the day. We bombed down that mountain. Couldn't find the bull that
Couldn't
night.
find the bull that night, yeah.
Ate our last meal. So the next day, we were all ready, though. We had like a day and a half worth of food, which was a mistake because we ended up being gone for multiple days. So we started rationing as it was. So I was already eating like a breakfast that day.
Yeah.
And it was rough. I was hungry, but
But I enjoyed that.
I loved it.
I would not have traded how that went for anything. Like, I enjoyed
That's another
knowing
thing.
we didn't have food the next day. Enjoyed that whole process.
That's another thing, Lorenzo, is Ryan, you went on a fast this year on a multi-day. Was it 3 days?
86 hours.
86 hours, no food to see
What did we do?
happened.
Yeah.
I did 3 days with Ryan a few years ago. I was hungry, but it didn't really, I was fine. When you do it and you realize I'm not going to die, 3-4 days with no food, you realize
You can do it.
You can do it.
Yeah.
And it's not I don't think it's as hard as people think it is.
Yeah.
And when there is no other option, really,
Nope.
think about all the success you can have. But I got to say, boiled, deep fried moose meat in moose fat, the taste of that, and we just ate the fat ends that got crunchy, like popcorn. That was one of the best meals I've ever had in my life. It's because you're half starved, but
of course.
also it's just organic. It's from the wild.
Yeah.
That was a highlight. Just sitting there huddled.
Literally, the feeling of fulfillment there that you provided, and you did get food for yourself. You're out of food, and that's the whole experience of that.
Sitting there having the random conversation. I don't remember what we're talking about. Where we're just cooking moose.
Basking in success.
Yeah, just living life as it's meant to be lived, and
it's awesome.
couldn't think I'd rather be anywhere else in the world.
Eating
But right
a
there at that
carnivore diet.
moment.
Yeah,
That's right.
Perfect.
Yeah, the epitome of type 2 fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You're selling me a little bit, honestly.
Yeah.
Selling me a little bit.
I think I need to go back and sacrifice my back and not kill one because I owe these boys.
You do. It's a team sport.
It is. Yep.
You owe 'em. That was awesome, though. I appreciate it. Appreciate the long day with you guys.
Yeah, appreciate it too. I'm glad.
Man, that was fun too.
That was a fun day.
Gosh.
We got some good stuff rolling out with you guys here in the next little bit.
We're about 50 years old now. Ryan is 50.
Yep.
It's cool to have another experience
checked off. Yeah. That was
I
fun
never
today.
thought in my lifetime I'd shoot a legit flamethrower.
That was awesome.
That was a fun day.
Yeah, we'll have we got some good stuff with you guys. But no, we genuinely appreciate the long day. That was a long day. It was good.
Here we are.
That's how days should be
9:15.
worked, right? 7:30 to 9:30.
I got to go build an article now too for tomorrow.
That's normal, Brady.
There's an important thing that's dropping tomorrow.
I got to go to Philadelphia tomorrow.
That's right.
So
You
there we
back?
go.
I
you
get
packed?
to go back to
No, I
Montana
haven't packed.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I haven't even thought about packing. Anyways, thank you guys.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Thank you.